Ace says that they are the 5th generation to grow up in a secluded ranch and farm. They had to make most of their own equipment and repair what they had. Do you think the maker movement is rekindling our forebears' ingenuity and self-sufficiency? As an aside, my great-grandfather used to say, if some son of a bitch can make it, I can fix it. That's great. That's a great phrase. It reminds me of New Zealand's national motto, which I think is, if it can't be built out of number 8 fencing wire, it's not worth building. Something along those lines. I do think that the maker movement is rekindling that kind of ingenuity, and it is sorely needed. The educational system, we talk a lot about it these days. We talk a lot about what our kids are learning. We haven't talked a lot about what they're not learning, because as soon as budgets get tight, not only do the teachers' salaries get painfully low, which is ridiculous. Our teachers should all be getting much better salaries to teach our kids and have smaller class sizes. I firmly believe that. But in addition, when budgets get tight, the things that disappear are band and shop class and drama and art. Those were the classes in which I found myself in high school. Those were the classes in which I was able to see my future reflected in the things in front of me. They were where I found my excellence. And if I had gone to a school without any of those, I don't know what I would have turned out. I was raised by a couple of bohemians and a maker and a psychologist. So, it's plausible I would have come out roughly the same. But, those early mentors in my shop and art classes, specifically my high school art teacher, Mr. Benton, were so, so, so important to me learning about myself. And this is the thing. This is what the most difficult part of any problem solving is you. It's always you. It's being able to see past your own ideas of what you think is the clever solution versus what is the right solution. And grade school and high school shop classes, home economics. When I went to middle school, we still had home ec. I learned to sew in that class, a skill I am still delighted to be mostly mediocre at. And yet it has given me untold riches over the years. And so the maker movement is doing the best job it can to supplant those shop, drama, and art classes that are missing from our kids' schools. But it shouldn't be the only thing. That's what I think. C2 Lawson asks a basic technical question. What are your preferred methods for getting rid of milling marks on machine pieces? Dude, sanding. Honestly, it's watching, hold on just a sec. I've been making some woodwork, and so there's a lot of dust in the shop right now. Sanding, getting rid of tool marks on machine pieces. Well, one thing is your choice of milling bits. They should be sharp. That's not always something that we can control. I will show you though. These are a 3-flute, highly polished carbide bit for milling aluminum. I will get the Amazon link for these. They're not cheap. They're phenomenal. Their finish is fantastic. So well-maintained tools is one of the ways to get a good finish, and that makes sanding easier. But frankly, ClickSpring just taught me it's all about that last couple of steps of taking some 320 and then 400 grit sandpaper and just doing it until all the tool marks are gone. Not until most of them are gone. Boy, it's so hard for me when I have 95% of them. I totally want to just add in some metal polish and call it done. But you want that perfect finish. It's just time and energy. Oh, Chase Davis asks, what are your feelings on fan-made replicas or tributes of your original art, such as your Keys to Hell? Oh, have at it. Good gracious, absolutely have at it. I have no issues with that at all. In fact, I think replication is really an important way to understand your own aesthetic. I mean, the first aesthetic that I couldn't get out of my head was H.R. Giger's Design for Alien. And I was deeply familiar with Giger's work from Alien long before I had the guts to watch Alien. It came out in 1980. I was 13. It was way too freaky for me to see. But Heavy Metal Magazine, the French version, did a beautiful issue on the making of Alien that became a book called The Book of Alien. And there's so much gorgeous stuff in there of Giger's work and of him doing his work, of his process. And I had to make a ton of sculptures that were basically, you'd call it ripping him off in order to understand what his aesthetic meant to me and what I wanted out of it. I even put ribbed hose all over the dashboard of my Chevy Nova, my very first car, and then covered it over with neoprene to look like an alien was buried in my dashboard. So if you want to make the Keys to Hell, by all means, I would love to see it. There's been several replica prop threads about making my toolboxes. And actually, I even bought a pair of toolboxes from one of the guys that did them as a run, because I love that. That's totally awesome. And more than that, more than being awesome and just acceptable, I think replicating is really important. Mary Karr, the writer of Liar's Club, one of my all-time favorite memoirs, talked in an interview about writer's block. It's a question all authors get. And what do you do when you can't think of what to write? And she said that she sits at her writing desk and she chooses, if she doesn't have something that she can write, that she wants to write, she chooses a favorite piece of literature and copies it in longhand. She says, my fidelity at the desk is to write. It doesn't matter what I'm writing. And she pours somebody else's words out through her hand. And I really feel like I understand that sympathetic magic. That's a really lovely, lovely thing to do. And so I think replication is not just acceptable. I think it's an important part of aesthetic exploration. Copyright maximalism might have something else to say, but that's a rant for another time. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.